Okay, so what you gotta do is you imagine Inception and then put it on steroids. That's basically what this movie was. Doctor Strange, guys. It was... Oh my goodness, that was a fun movie. A lot of movies for me, not a lot of movies, but some movies, like, for example, The Jungle Book, because it was all CGI, kind of got a little dull after a while, because it was like CGI forest, and then you're like, oh, that looks like a forest, but I can tell, like, this is all kind of computer animated and generated and stuff. And so after a while, and especially because of all the movies that now use tons of CGI in them, because of that, and then Jungle Book had a ton of CGI in it and all this kind of thing, then all the movies kind of blended together and got a little dull because they all had the kind of similar style. Now, Doctor Strange pulled out something like really interesting. It pulled out this somewhat unknown Marvel character, like, it's kind of like, oh, everyone knows Spider-Man, everyone knows Captain America, Iron Man, etc. But like, not many people have really heard of Doctor Strange. I mean, of course, if you were a hardcore Marvel fan and you like read up on Doctor Strange before the movie when it came out, then yeah, you'd know exactly who Doctor Strange is. But I'm willing to bet that before the movie was announced, you wouldn't, if you weren't a hardcore Marvel fan, you wouldn't have known who it is. And that's kind of the exciting part, because for me, because I'm not a hardcore Marvel fan, I went and watched this movie not knowing really the character. All I did was like read a little bit on the wiki, and the only thing I really went in knowing was that he was a neurosurgeon and he has like some sort of egotistical problem, and then he gets magic powers, and that's all I knew going into this movie. And so I think, like, because I knew very little about this movie, I went in with maybe pretty high expectations, and I was really satisfied to see that this movie actually met them. It had good acting, it had an interesting character development, because in a lot of movies, like, the first one that comes to mind is like Pan, where suddenly one character can be one way, and then the next minute they've entirely changed the character for the sake of the plot, right? But in this movie, it's like, he's bad at the beginning at doing the wizardry stuff, after he finds the people in Nepal and stuff like that. He's really bad at the wizardry stuff, but then, like, he goes on to fight people, and he's still kind of bad at the wizardry stuff. It's like, he doesn't really get there instantly like Harry Potter or whatever, where like, oh, he's a person of prophecy, and he can do this instantly because Deus Ex Machina, it's how it works. But instead, they actually really gradually released his character. They gradually made him grasp the thing. And I think, like, the idea of wizardry, and I think that the thing that this movie did really well as well was, like, really emphasizing how much he was just focused on the real physical world, where he believes in what he sees, because he's a neurosurgeon. If he sees on an MRI, or if he sees in, like, a person, like, on this person's body that, like, there's something wrong with it, he'll know how to fix it because he's working with matter. He's dealing with matter. And, like, he understands how to do that. But then, like, when he goes to the place and they're all talking, like, oh, and your spirit and stuff, and it's all magic and that, he's like, okay, I don't really get this, because this is not the physical matter world that I'm really used to. And so as a result, like, he doesn't get it the first time. He doesn't care to begin with. And like, over time, of course, he gets it. Over time, he's like, oh, yeah, like, okay, I kind of get it now, but he didn't like fully buy it. How some characters, they'll have like this moment of epiphany, and then suddenly the movie's all honky-dory and the character's overpowered and everything. This movie kind of like kept you on the edge of your seat, because you're never really sure what's going to happen next. You're never really sure what can happen because of the magic and stuff that they use in it. It's like, they can pull these really weird things out of nowhere. Now, the one thing, though, that actually, there were like 3 little things in the movie that were kind of nitpicky in my mind. They're like, that kind of doesn't seem, to a good point for the movie. First off was this character, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Mordor. I heard Mordor the whole time because I'm just a Lord of the Rings fan. So anyway, Mordor, he's like the doom and gloom guy, and he will not shut up for the life of him. He won't, like, the thing that really annoyed me about him was that he would always, like, speak the obvious, is like, oh no, they've been defeated, how can we ever get back at them, and I'm just sitting here, like, he does it once, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can kind of see how you're, like, pessimistic and stuff, but then, like, Doctor Strange, somehow manages to pull something out of nowhere and, like, beat the bad guys, right? And then you think like, oh, okay, so Mortar guy, he's not going to be doubting anymore, right? No, he keeps on going like, oh, we're doomed. He's like the doomsayer. He's really, really irritating. And I was like, spoilers. I mean, of course, we put spoilers at the beginning of the movie reviews we make, but like he leaves the Sorcerer Order, and I was actually relieved to see him leave because I was like, thank goodness we don't have to hear more of this character whining for the movie. That was like one major thing. The other thing was there was like this one fight scene in what they call the London Sanctum. So if you don't know the story of the sorcerers, what they do is they basically hold these magical wards around the world in 3 cities, one in each continent. You have New York, London, and Hong Kong, and each one of them has like this kind of magic shield that prevents them from being invaded by more mystical forces. And so they went over to the New York one, and it's being attacked. And while Doctor Strange is fighting the main bad guy sort of main bad guy in this movie, it's like this guy Caecilius, is his name, Caecilius. I know I have a really bad rap for some reason, like getting the bad guy named after me lately. Like you have Caecilius in Doctor Strange, and then you have Kai from what, Kung Fu Panda 3, right? But anyway, it's like this fight scene was a little weird. There were like some punches where the camera was a little blurred, and you're like, whoa, okay, where did that punch go? What happened? I don't know where I am right now. Like there were a few like points like that where you were lost in the cinematography for a few seconds. You were lost because you didn't see where it went, and the camera like was a little weird, But I don't think like that's such a major point, but that's like one little minor thing that like I noticed when I was watching the movie. It was like, what kind of fight? Oh, okay, we're back now. Got it. Okay, we're good. And then the last thing was, how in movies, Harry Potter first comes to mind, right? Where they mention, oh, this thing is like forbidden. You'll never go in there because it's forbidden so many times, whatever, And then, like, later on in the movie, it's obvious that the main character uses it, Kind of like the Forbidden Forest in Harry Potter. It's like, you're not allowed to go into the Forbidden Forest because it's got forbidden in its name. You're not allowed to go in there. And Harry Potter goes in there, like, 4 or 5 times throughout the course of the books, And in the same way, there's these books that are held in the magic library that Doctor Strange is not allowed to read because he's not powerful enough, and they're afraid that, like, oh my goodness, it's a new guy, so he may try to take power like Caecilius did, But then obviously the main character, Doctor Strange, he's just like, yeah, I'm going to take that. Thank you. But aside from that, the one thing that I was really glad about this movie was that it wasn't a thing of prophecy. Like, thank goodness, because it was just like, hey, this guy showed up and wow, he has a lot of power. He has a lot of potential. And oh my goodness, there's an Infinity Stone in there. Yeah, they used an Infinity Stone, and you figure out at the very end of the movie that, like, this eye thing that he's been controlling to manipulate time is an Infinity Stone, the thing that whatever Thanos is looking for, right? It'll probably be in an Infinity War. So that's basically the gist of the movie. So to wrap the storyline up, Benedict Cumberbatch, he's a neurosurgeon. He's great. He's got a photographic memory. He learns things like a doctor, and he's really, really cynical and rude and egotistical and stuff. And so one day he's driving his like whatever Mercedes car down the highway. He crashes, which then results in him having to have multiple surgeries on his hands, where and his hands have nerve damage, so his hands are always shaking like this, And so because his hands are always shaking, then of course, like if you're trying to do a scalpel while your hands are like shaking like this, then you can't do it. It's not possible for you to accurately do it while your hands are shaking like crazy. And so he thinks, oh my goodness, I'm ruined. He tries to get all these different surgeries, operations done. And so one day he figures out there's this guy named Jonathan something. I just heard the Jonathan part, Bogdan, or I don't know. But anyway, he was also paralyzed in what is considered an impossible scenario, and then he went to this place and got healed. And so Doctor Strange is at such a point of desperation that he goes to this place, and that's where he learns the magic, and that's where the rest of the story kicks off. And that's all I have to say for this movie review. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, go ahead and click this. Where is my camera frame? Subscribe button right here. We got some playlist buttons down the side here. If you guys do want to check out some of our other content on this channel, and if you did like the video, hit the like button, comment down below on what you think I could have done better or could have changed with this movie review. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are awesome, and I will see you on the flip side.